not, I'm going to shout it a couple more times. I want to introduce another person who's been absolutely instrumental in everything that's been carried out thus far, and that's Stud Hendrick. That is with the Maine Veterans for Peace. Obviously, veterans have a lot at stake in this, and Stud has a few words for us.
Thank you, Gary. I believe in the sanctity of dissent. And at a time of war, when your leadership has betrayed you to take you to war, I believe that dissent rises to the level of moral imperative. And I believe impeachment is all about it being a moral imperative. Fittingly, as a veteran, I'd like to focus for a minute on one of the issues that dictates or requires that we pursue impeachment. Of course, that's the biggest one of all, the one from which all the others may derive, and that's the war. Of all our military incursions, there perhaps have been none more clearly attributable to the interests of the powerful elite. I'm a Naval Academy graduate. I'm a former Air Force officer, and I'm a Vietnam vet. My anger and my commitment certainly arise out of the fact that I have lost several friends. I've lost several friends in the Vietnam War. From Vietnam to Iraq, you know it's a direct line. Bush and Cheney, the conflict in Iraq, and all those military misadventures since the 1960s are direct descendants of Vietnam. They happen because we, the people, have allowed them to happen. We have bought into the idea that our militarism advances freedom and democracy. That argument is so spacious when you consider that since the 60s, American bombs have dropped on over 20 countries, and never, not once, not one time, has a democracy respectful of human rights emerged. Andrew Vasovich is the author of The New American Militarism, and he is a leading critic of the Iraq War. In his opinion, and in mine, George W. Bush answers to wealthy individuals and wealthy institutions. Vasovich says, money buys access and influence. Money ensures that big business and big oil get a hearing. It maintains the Republican-Democrat duopoly. It preserves the cliches of appeasement, and it preserves, or rather it inhibits, the accounting of exactly how much this war in Iraq is costing. 2 weeks ago, one of those costs was the life of Andrew Vasovich's son. As for relevance to the state of Maine, we have to consider only the loss of 16 Maine soldiers, and 159 of them have been grievously wounded. And as Gary has pointed out, the costs of this war are something like 8 times the budget shortfall that we thought we were experiencing a couple of weeks ago. In fact, perhaps through the work of Mr. Scrimling, we have brought that back into line a bit. The more we remain, there also is the issue of something like perhaps as many as 1 million Iraqi lives that are a bit of a concern. The more we remain silent, the more we perpetuate the myth of American exceptionalism. Our silence preserves the fiction that we are not in Iraq for oil. Our silence ignores the reality of the hydrocarbon law that we are imposing on the Iraqi parliament and its people. The details in that law expose the whole charade, that it assures equal distribution of the oil revenues to the Kurds, the Sunnis, and the Shiites, when we know, in fact, that the hydrocarbon law will ensure that the majority of the revenues are guaranteed to the multinationals. This theft is a crime, and war on behalf of that theft is a war crime. The more we remain silent, the more we endorse the wiretapping, the extraordinary renditions, the signing statements, the torture, Guantanamo, Abu Ghraib, Alberto Gonzalez, the denial of habeas corpus, etc., etc., etc. And the more we endorse global warming, for God's sakes, and the more we endorse endless war, and the more we ignore it, the more we are guaranteed of continuing leadership like this obscenity that's happening today. that we have come here today to break the silence and to speak with our state legislators because they share the responsibility that we all have to speak truth to power. And they have greater access to the U.S. House of Representatives that can dictate a change in this regard. We are reminding them of the oath that they have to uphold the Constitution. Bush and Cheney have betrayed the trust invested in them. They must be held accountable. Impeachment will end this war. Thank you.
Open up the microphone because I know there are other people here who want to talk and share their feelings about this whole issue. And after that, we will be breaking up into a couple of groups. A group of about a dozen of us will be delivering the impeachment petition signature documents to the President of the Senate, Beth Edmonds' office, and to the Speaker of the House, Glenn Cummings' office. I think people should also know, by the way, that Glenn Cummings' dad died on Saturday. It was a very tragic death, very sudden, and for people from the Portland area, I hope you're aware of that. It's really a very unfortunate situation. But in the meantime, I just want to mention again the reason why we're here. The President and Vice President of our country have misused the military personnel, the reputation, the morality, and the public funds of our nation in a manner that the framers of our Constitution said requires impeachment. That is why we're here. The process from here is for everyone to notify their legislators that they want action taken, notify your Congressman Michaud or Allen, and in case the state legislators who are meeting inside right now have not heard it yet, what is the reason why we are here? One more time. Thank you. Is there anybody else who would like to say something?
Uphold the Constitution.
Kathy Mink? Step right up.
Soldiers, because I was among those who went out through the state of Maine to get people to sign these petitions. I was swept away by the eagerness with which people were willing to sign, and by the total conviction that this needs to be done. They didn't need to be talked into it. We didn't need to recite to them all of the violations of our Constitution. They knew, they did it, they were courageous. We went on the banks of the river where the people were rowing their boats, and there were lots of people there, and they turned away from that scene of people coming down the rapids to sign this petition. The people of this legislature ignore the people of Maine at their peril.